Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the Commentators Box. I've been joined by the host Tamoor Arif. How's it going, Tamoor?
It's going well. How about you?
It's going great, buddy. And today we'll be discussing the best 11 of the bottom half of the Premier League. So this team will be presented by me, and Tamoor will be arguing over it. So let's begin. Uh,
So before that, just a small clarification. We are not including players like Jack Grealish, etc., in this team because even though Jack Grealish finished in the bottom half of the Premier League last season, but he did move away to Manchester City eventually, so that takes him to the top half of the league. So essentially, what we're arguing is that पिछले सीजन जो भी टीम्स बॉटम हाफ में फिनिश की थी और जो प्लेयर्स अभी तक उनमें बॉटम हाफ में मौजूद हैं, वी आर एसेंशियली मेकिंग अ लाइनअप आउट ऑफ दोस टीम those players. So yes, let's start with it.
Tamoor, let's get things straight. You just don't want Grealish in the team, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. He's a City player now. Who really wants him? Honestly, we've got Lingard, we've got Bruno. He'd probably be playing third fiddle. So what's the point?
Okay, so we'll be starting with the goalkeeper, and I'll be arguing for Emi Martinez. So the curious case of Emi Martinez begins with Arsenal, and where he was the second choice while being the better keeper. He is definitely a better keeper than Bernd Leno. He came to Aston Villa, and the way he performed for the club, he totally uplifted an Aston Villa side that finished 17th in the league table. If there is a reason that they finished 11th in the league last season, Emi Martinez and Jack Grealish are the two major reasons for that. Emi Martinez किसी भी स्ट्राइकर से ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट था फॉर दैट एस्टन विला साइड. Watkins, you can name Watkins, you can name El Ghazi, you can name any other player. Emi Martinez was their number one player that totally uplifted that team. So he definitely makes my top 11 of the bottom half. What about you, Tamoor?
I don't think there's any argument here on the goalkeeper because Emiliano Martinez was easily one of the best goalkeepers in the Premier League, let alone the bottom half of the league last season. Especially given the fact that he moved away from Arsenal to get game time, and when given that chance, he proved how he is one of the best goalkeepers in the league. And I just don't understand how Arsenal dropped the ball with this one because they now have gone on to sign Ramsdale, who again is a good keeper in my opinion, but they had someone equally, if not more capable, at least I believe more capable than Ramsdale already under their wing, who could have very easily replaced Leno, who's again been shaky to say the least for the past few seasons with Arsenal. So I feel that Emiliano Martinez could easily walk into any team, or at least most of the teams, if not any team, obviously, most of the teams in the top half as well. So, which is why I don't really see an argument here. Emiliano Martinez, number one on this team, definitely.
While talking about Emi Martinez, it's impossible to not talk about Arsenal and their transfer business and how they conduct things. So it makes absolutely no sense, at least to me, to sell Emi Martinez and then buy Ramsdale, who was a number one keeper for a relegated Sheffield side. But there could be one reason that Emi Martinez wanted number one spot for Arsenal, and maybe Ramsdale would be willing to play second fiddle to Bernd Leno. But selling Emi Martinez while not giving him game time and then promising Ramsdale a shot at challenging Bernd Leno does not make any sense to me. And then spend 150 million on that depleted Arsenal squad. And when you see the team, you do not see any improvement, in my opinion, at all, other than maybe Ben White. They have improved the depth of the team, but that Arsenal team needs better than increasing the depth of the team. They need a better 11, and I don't think they have that right now. What do you have to say, Tamoor?
So I think Arsenal is probably one of the worst cases of a big team going down the toilet we've seen in the recent past. I mean, yes, Barcelona is sort of on that trajectory with the kind of replacements and the kind of squad they have right now. Barcelona fans are going to be so horribly pissed at me saying this because that's just how they are. But their Messi days are gone. Even their Suarez days are gone. Even their Griezmann days are gone. So, but eventually when it comes to Arsenal, I feel that their investment has been very weird to say the least, given the fact that they are the biggest spenders of the league this season. So if a club is spending something around 150, 160 million in a single transfer window, on net spend, you would expect them to bring at least one or two players or one or two star players, which would actually send shockwaves around the league, or at least one or two players who could actually compete for a spot in another top 4, top 5, top 6 side. But right now, are we really seeing anyone apart from maybe Ben White? Again, as we were talking off the record, we thought about कि शायद Ben White एक player है ऐसा who can stake a claim in any of the other top 6 sides. But apart from that, do we really have any star signing? I don't really think so. And to spend that much money, I personally feel that if Arteta is not going to change something drastically in the next few weeks, he is destined to be sacked by Christmas.
I think one big difference with regards to Barcelona and Arsenal is that Barca do have the La Masia, and they actually do have some players coming through, like Ricky Puig, or you talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep, and with Arsenal, I think they do have a good crop of youth coming through with the likes of Saka and Smith Rowe. But I don't think you can compare the academy of Barca with that of Arsenal.
Yeah, definitely.
That could be one thing that really differentiates between the two teams, and maybe brings Barca back up to their glory days. And Arsenal seems like a lost case to me right now.
Yeah, I agree. What I'm suggesting is that Barca looks on a similar trajectory. I mean, not identical, but a similar one. Definitely. In terms of their transfer business and the way things are being conducted at the club. But Arsenal right now, absolute shambles. I actually feel bad making jokes about them at this point. It's gotten so bad. And honestly, they are irrelevant to the European debate completely. I don't see them even competing for the Europa spots. I hope they prove me wrong, because I'm one of those football fans who love nostalgia. We want to go back to the times where United, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Liverpool were battling it out for the top 4 and the title. But from the face of things, very unlikely.
Let's move forward. My pick on the left back would be Mitchell from Crystal Palace. I believe he broke through in that Crystal Palace team because of the injury to Patrick Van Aanholt. And in my opinion, he actually made that position his own because of the way he played and how defensively solid he was for a Crystal Palace side led by Roy Hodgson. Defense was the first thing he asks for from his defenders, and then maybe the attacking play. So us hisab se Mitchell did an amazing job coming as an 18, 19 or 20-year-old left back, just like similar. In my opinion, he is very similar to Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who came through the Crystal Palace ranks. But maybe he's a little better going forward, but just like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, his primary attribute is that he is a very good defender. And to make that position his own and to rack around 1,800, 1,900 minutes in the first season of his Premier League, I think he definitely makes my Premier League bottom 11.
So my pick in this slot would be Matt Targett from Aston Villa, because in my opinion, he was a very, very solid fullback in the Premier League last season. He made a very good partnership with Jack Grealish. His overlapping runs and his solidity on the left side allowed Jack Grealish to do the one thing which we were discussing in our last episode, that where Grealish casually drifted inside from the left-hand side of the field, leaving behind a hole, which was very well covered by Matt Targett, in my opinion. I feel that he was very hardworking, he was very consistent and very solid for the Aston Villa team, which is why I believe that he should be put ahead of Mitchell in the starting 11. But again, I think you've made a good claim for Mitchell, but I feel that in terms of both experience and the output that was given, yes, Mitchell was the one who exceeded expectations, because to begin with, he was a complete newbie who, we did not have a lot of expectations with. But Matt Targett, he delivered well, and he did a great job for an Aston Villa team who actually gave many of the big shots of the league a pretty tough time last season.
I can definitely agree to that, and it is a very close call with regards to the left back position. There were a number of other names as well, like Bertrand from Southampton did
definitely
as well. But since we were just talking about the people, about the players who have not transferred, so Bertrand did not make either of our 11s. But I think that the left back spot is spoiled for options. And I can definitely agree that Matt Targett was if not, if very close, if not better than Mitchell as well. So let's move forward to the centre back position, and I've gone for Tyrone Mings at the left centre back, and then I've gone for Ben Dunk at the right centre back. So one primary reason of not choosing Matt Targett at left back was that I had already gone for Emi Martinez at the goalkeeper spot, and then Tyrone Mings in the centre back spot for Aston Villa. And I believe that as much as although the Aston Villa defense was really good and it only conceded 46 goals in the league last season, to triple up on the defense would be a little bit too much. So I am going for Tyrone Mings and Emi Martinez from the Aston Villa defense. And it is very important here to mention how good that Aston Villa defense was. They conceded 46 goals in the league last season, which was very, very close to the top teams. Manchester United conceded 2 less goals than Aston Villa, and Tottenham Hotspur conceded 1 less goal than Aston Villa. This is how good that Aston Villa defense was. And that is why I think Tyrone Mings makes my left centre back position, because he was extremely good and he was the leader at the back for Aston Villa. That is the reason they have actually announced him as their captain. On the right centre back side, I've gone for Ben Dunk. He scored 5 Premier League goals last season. He was the mainstay in that Brighton side. And Big Ben Dunk has to make any Premier League bottom 11 because of the main reason is that he, just like Aston Villa, Brighton were very solid in the league last season defensively, mainly due to maybe Ben White and the other defensive units. But considering the fact that we are not going to add Ben White in the team, I think Ben Dunk has to be in this 11 because of similar numbers to Aston Villa. They just conceded 46 goals in the league last season, and Aston Villa and the Brighton defense were really good last season. So what do you have to say to me?
So for a start, what I would do is I would probably replace Ben Dunk with Connor Cody from Wolves. It's again, so Connor Cody was that one player who was the heart and soul of a very defensive Wolves side from the back. Not only was he their captain, but also he was something who was shouting at his players all the time, who was arranging them, organizing them, and he was putting in an absolute shift day in, day out, and you could see the drive he has for his team. So, and even Wolves, even though again they did have a very defensive setup to begin with, as Nuno sets up his teams very defensively, they did concede something around, I think, 55 or 56 goals in the league, which is again more than what Aston Villa conceded. But then again, I feel that Connor Cody was that one mainstay in the Wolves defense, that one person who you could not write off any week in the Premier League. He was very, very, very solid. And to say that he was not playing with a defense that was possibly the same quality or performing at the same level as I would say Aston Villa, because on the right you were having Semedo put in a shift, and then maybe the next week you would have Adama Traore covering the right wing back side, and his other centre backs were not on the same level. Cody rose head and shoulders above the rest and put in the performances that you would expect from the captain of a team like Wolves, and which is why he actually made it to the squad for England squad for the Euros. And I feel that you need personalities. I am sounding like a bit like Roy Keane, because again, I love Roy Keane. Who doesn't? You need personalities like Connor Cody on your team. And if you pair Connor Cody up with Tyrone Mings, I feel that you're getting two very formidable defenders. Two defenders who have personalities of their own, two defenders who will not shy away from yelling at their teammates who make a mistake, or to drive them to make sure that the team holds their head up throughout the 90 minutes, that it does not slack off, which is why I personally feel that Connor Cody needs to be a part of the team. There are a few other defenders worth mentioning. I would say James Trikowski from Burnley would be one of them. I would not necessarily put him in this 11 because last season Burnley were pretty shaky defensively, even though generally they do better. But Trikowski for the past few years, while Burnley has been in the Premier League, has been very, very, very good. And he could actually, at least I believe, he could actually improve some of the defenses in the top half of the Premier League. He's tall, he's also fast, he's composed, and I believe that he could actually do a good shift in any top half team. So I would put Cody alongside Mings instead of Ben Dunk, purely because pairing both of them would give you a very, very strong and very scary defense. But other than that, I could concede on Tyron Mings.
I definitely agree with regards to Conor Cody because of the fact that he is a leader at the back. He's a leader of men. His leadership at the back is very, very important for any side, let alone Wolves. So I like Conor Cody. The only reason he misses my 11 would be the fact that Wolves were pretty terrible at the back last season, and you make a good point with regards to their defense that maybe the others were not at Conor Cody's level, but he was also part of that defense. And when you're making a back four of the making the best back four, I think you have to consider the amount of goals they conceded and how shaky they looked at times at the back. And also the fact that Nuno, there is also one point worth mentioning with regards to Conor Cody was that Nuno did look very exhausted and tired at Wolves last season, which is mainly the reason why he left for Tottenham Hotspurs. So you can also put the poor performance of Wolves defensively and blame Nuno with regards to it. But Cody does make a very good shout for me as well.
Yeah, I think Cody does deserve at least a shout. In my opinion, he deserves to be on the team. But if anyone says that Conor Cody does not deserve a shout for this team, I would definitely ask them to reconsider and go watch some of his performances for Wolves over the years.
On the right back spot, I have decided to go for Maitland-Niles. Now, this would be a little bit of a controversial pick, but I will try to justify that. The right back spot, in my opinion, while making this 11, was the one that was very difficult to decide because of the lack of quality available on this spot, on this position. So I have gone for Maitland-Niles primarily because he has been playing in this position for Arsenal. Although he did not play this position for West Brom, but he was their player of the season along with Matheus Pereira, who also deserves a shout here. But yeah. I have decided to go for Maitland-Niles because he was brilliant when he went on loan to West Bromwich Albion, and he did he did assist some goals as well. And I think that there is a player in there. Which Arsenal have not been able to extract. But I do believe that if put in a proper system and be properly utilized, just the way West Brom utilized him, and that is also one major reason why Everton are interested in him. Rafa Benitez is, in my opinion, is a pretty decent coach, and if he is interested in a player like him, he definitely has seen the attributes and quality of a very good player. So Maitland-Niles does make my 11 because he was very, very good in a depleted West Brom side where he did not have the quality around him. So he makes my right back spot. What about you, Taimur?
So I would probably play the devil's advocate here by saying that I would put in Semedo ahead of Maitland-Niles. Yes, Wolves' defense was shaky and there were a lot of problems as we've already discussed. But I feel that Semedo is that Premier League mold of a right back which we're looking for right now. He's, again, going forward, he's very good when deployed correctly. When he's given enough cover by his midfield and by his centre backs, he can be very dangerous when he's going forward because he's rapid. He's absolutely rapid. He's very fast. His crossing is also very good. Defensively, okay, maybe there can be question marks, but then again, the problem here is that we already on the right side of the defense, the lack of quality is obviously there in the bottom half. I was actually, so there's this one player which we should definitely talk about. That's Tariq Lamptey from Brighton. Yep. So I was thinking that maybe had he not been injured right towards, before the middle of the season even, he could have been a huge shout on this right-hand side of this defense, because not only was he brilliant going forward, he was actually looking very solid when he was performing defensively as well. So I think that's one downside of the last season, that we did not get to see Lamptey perform to his absolute best, because he did raise a few eyebrows at the start of the season when he was putting in very good shifts for Brighton for such a young lad. But eventually, I would probably go with Semedo purely because I feel that he's more of a Premier League mold, a more experienced right back. Maitland-Niles, yes, he's decent. Yes, he's promising. But is he a more finished product than Semedo? I don't think so. And I would probably, choosing between the both of them in the Premier League, I would put my faith in Nelson Semedo over Maitland-Niles.
I think you make a really good point with regards to Tariq Lamptey. Uh, this would not have been a debate if Tariq Lamptey had remained fit for like you mentioned, for even 19 to 20 game weeks, because the way he played in the start of the season, he had around 5 to 6 goal contributions for Brighton, and the way he was actually, Brighton's attack was being constructed from the right hand side, and Tariq Lamptey was taking the ball forward. So Graham Potter, the Brighton manager, clearly saw a player in there. Now, when he was at the peak of his form and he was playing really good for Brighton, even there were links with Bayern. Even Bayern were interested in Tariq Lamptey, and that goes on to show the level क्या player का. But then again he got injured, and maybe that is one reason why Chelsea did end up selling Tariq Lamptey. Chelsea maybe didn't know about the fact that he does get injured a lot. Maybe there is an issue with his hamstring, but this next season is huge for Lamptey, and if he does perform the way he did at the start of the season, I see a seriously top player in that guy. He can easily play for any top European side. For the although the sample he provided by his performances is very small, but but when you see a player, when you see a top player, you can recognize him. And there are, in my opinion, no major flaws in his game. He was very sound defensively, and he was absolutely brilliant attacking wise. So I think for the timing, you do make a very good case for Semedo, but for his first season coming from Barcelona, he wasn't typically great for me. I absolutely hate his first touch. So because of lack of options, I had to go for Maitland-Niles. But if Lamptey was fit, he would walk into this team hands down.
Yeah, actually, I would have loved to have Lamperty at United even. अगर Lamperty अपनी form or fitness को उस तरह से रखता, even seeing him in like those 10, 11, 12 games that he played, I think something around that in the Premier League, he was so good that I was actually thinking, अच्छा, what if इस बंदे को हम ले आए और उन गेम्स में जिनमें हमें एक अटैकिंग फुलबैक चाहिए, जो कि हमारा प्रॉब्लम है, Wan-Bissaka is not the best going forward, although he has improved, which is why probably United was looking at Trippier this transfer window to have an attacking fullback for those games where you need to overlap, you need to send your fullbacks forward. Lamperty would have been a good addition to our squad. So saying that Lamperty probably could have been a very good addition to a Manchester United side which has hugely improved for the past few seasons, I think that is saying something for a player who we only saw for like 11, 12 games. So I think, yeah, we should definitely be keeping an eye out on Lamperty for this season, and I hope that he's able to fulfill the potential he's shown us in the last season. This little bit we got to see. So I think let's move on to the midfield now. So Ali has gone with this a 3-man midfield in a different mold, which I envisioned. Ali has gone with one defensive midfielder sitting a bit behind the other two and, covering and shielding the defense, and two a bit more advanced. A classic, I would like to say, Barcelona formation, the arrowhead formation, as they like to say, where Busquets used to sit a little bit behind both Xavi and Iniesta. So Ali, walk me through this.
Yep. I think the major reason why I went for this formation was that the type of players that had to be brought into this team, you have to go for this formation, in my opinion. You cannot take out Bissouma, Ward-Prowse, or Ruben Neves. The three of them were absolutely brilliant, in my opinion, for their respective sides. Bissouma has been linked with all of the top teams. Arsenal, okay, let's tone it down a little bit. All top teams and Arsenal,
and Arsenal. Yeah, that's a good edit. That's a good edit.
And Arsenal. So Bissouma, in my opinion, has all the attributes to play for any top team. He has the composure of a Michael Carrick. He has a tackle to himself. He does have pretty good passing range as well. So if any team that does need a defensive midfielder, just like Manchester United, he would walk into any Premier League team, bar maybe a City or a Chelsea.
Or Chelsea, yeah.
Yep. I think he definitely makes the Manchester United team, or or even a Liverpool team, because Henderson is aging, and Bissouma would fit right into that Liverpool side with maybe Thiago or whatever they're doing right there. So other than that, I have gone for right center mid Ruben Neves.
I like how we have no clue what Liverpool is doing with their midfield since Wijnaldum has departed.
No, I do have a clue about what they do, but it's about caring enough to discuss an irrelevant club from Merseyside.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we should be talking Everton, the better club or the bigger club on the Merseyside. Yeah, absolutely. Sure. So okay. So my disagreement on the midfield comes from more of a tactical standpoint rather than a selection standpoint. So I would rather see two sitting midfielders with one advanced midfielder, something that United does quite horribly. I will concede to that with Bruno Fernandes and Fred and McTominay. But given the right players, it can play out very well. So I will tell you what I am trying to do with the 11 the 3 in the midfield. So what I would like to see is one number 10 and one number 6 and number 8, as you conventionally like to say, two sitting midfielders, one maybe who's going box to box, one who covers the defense, and one who's an out-and-out attacking midfielder, a number 10. So I would stick with both Ward-Prowse and Ruben Neves, because Ward-Prowse was absolutely instrumental for Southampton. He still is, I feel, one of their absolute best players. I believe that he's very consistent. He's very solid. Maybe not the best player in the world. He does not light up our screens with flashy moves or flashy passes. He's got a very good free kick in himself. I love to watch him on the free kick every now and then, because he does slot one right in the top corner. But he's just someone who keeps his head down and plays a good game week in, week out. So he's one player who I believe the top 4 squads would even use as a squad player, because he's someone who would be in the dressing room day in, day out. He would not complain about the game time. He would probably be happy with the game, one odd game here and there, and he will just be happy to, improve the squad generally. He's that kind of a player. And I feel that teams do need those kind of players every now and then. So, but in Southampton, and particularly the bottom half of the league, he is someone who's been a standout performer, to say the least, for as in terms of both his consistency and the quality that he delivers on the pitch. And I mean, Ruben Neves, I feel he's someone United should have signed this window, even after the whole fiasco that went down in the last game with his interview and his antics with Pogba. But then again, I believe that Ruben Neves is a top player. He's good defensively. He's good going forward. His long shots are brilliant. I think last season or the season before that, he scored an absolute peach of a goal against us in the top corner, which ZAHA absolutely had no chance with. He's someone who, again, I believe maybe United should try and sign in the January window, or absolutely in the next summer, because we need a player like him, and he would definitely make us better. So I will be a bit controversial here. What I'm going to do is, in the number 10 position, I will pick ZAHA from the left wing, and I will slot him right there, because mostly for Crystal Palace, ZAHA, I think ever since moving away from United, ZAHA has become more of a attacking midfielder rather than a wide player in the last few seasons. We've seen that Eze and others were, even Townsend, I think, when he was at Crystal Palace, they used to play on the left-hand side, and ZAHA used to be their number 10, driving the attack forward from the middle. So I believe ZAHA is a brilliant player. Maybe a few seasons ago, when he was being linked with Arsenal, when they direly needed a good creative attacking player behind Aubameyang and even Lacazette, they would have gone for him. They should have gone for him, and they should have taken him up right there and then. Maybe their fate would have been very different as what we see from now, because again, Ozil was not performing to the best of his capabilities. They had problems with his work rate. ZAHA is someone who could have solved that problem, slotting into that Arsenal number 10 position, but Arsenal did not. But then again, ZAHA is a quality player who provides assists, who scores goals, and I feel that he's much more suited to the number 10 position given his transition over the past few years. Nothing against Bissouma, he's absolutely wonderful. Again, he's someone I would love to have at United, just as I would Ruben Neves. But from a tactical standpoint, from the standpoint of setting my team up, I would rather have Zaha as number 10. And when we'll come to that point, I will argue who I would rather see on the left wing.
With regards to my midfield, I think we do know that Ward-Prowse's free kicks and set piece in general are really good, but I really don't think his set pieces are appreciated enough. I believe.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you even know? Do you even think that there is a better set piece taker in the world?
In the world, maybe Lionel Messi on the
Maybe,
free kicks,
maybe.
but
Now that is the level of set piece we are talking about here, where we are comparing Ward-Prowse's free kicks with Lionel Messi's. So
I think Ward-Prowse had the most number of free kicks last season or the season before that. I think there was one season where Ward-Prowse scored the most number of free kicks in the Premier League, which is saying something because it's one of the, if not the biggest leagues in the world.
his conversion rate is absolutely amazing and right up there with David Beckham actually.
Even his corners. I mean, I think we undervalue how quality corners are important, especially with Southampton's defenders. Vestergaard, I think he's moved on, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So there were last season they had Fonte and Vestergaard, who were actually very tall, players who needed good crosses from the corner. And having someone like Ward-Prowse in there who used to ping it right on their heads is absolutely amazing. So I mean, अगर हम United के analysis में देखें, having Shaw improve his corner delivery over the past year or so, and even on his crossing delivery, and having someone like Maguire in the middle who can actually be there and head it towards the goal, if not in the goal at least. We were horrible on the corners. Seeing Shaw improve that is very visible, and I feel that because a lot of the teams by default have good corner takers, they don't appreciate how important it is to have someone who can put a really good cross on a corner. Especially if you have those tall center backs who are not scared of taking a header on. And Ward-Prowse is precisely that player who does that with insane conversion rate and insane quality, which again is very underappreciated in the Premier League.
Definitely. Okay, with regards to my forward line, I would also pick Wilfred Zaha in my front three. But I would still, even though Timur has argued for an attacking midfield position, I would still go for him on the left wing because I think he does provide raw pace, which is very important for especially the bottom sides who generally play on the counter. And Zaha for a Crystal Palace side. Who do not have much quality around him. They tried to sign Eze, but he did not, cope with the pace and the vigorous Premier League demands. So maybe he could be a player to see for the 2022 season, but for the time being, I don't think Zaha did not get enough support from his teammates like Benteke or maybe Eze, or even their midfield. It's pretty bad. So in the Crystal Palace side with depleted of quality, he ended up scoring 11 goals and he did assist 2 goals as well. So in my opinion, there is a pretty decent top tier player in Zaha right there. If he does intend to move one day, there would be plenty of suitors for him. I don't think he's a top 4 player, but I still think there is a potential for him to play for maybe a Tottenham Hotspur, maybe a Leicester City, maybe an Arsenal. So he would be a perfect fit on the left wing for Arsenal because they really don't have anyone on the left wing. They keep rotating and keep trying different combinations. So Zaha would be a very good signing for someone like Arsenal. But I'm not sure Zaha would like to move to Arsenal considering the state of the club. And for Zaha, that would be his one big move. So maybe he is vying for a move for the last 2 or 3 years because he is the type of quality who can easily play for a top 6 or 7 club. So, in my opinion, he does make the top 11 for the bottom 10.
Yeah, I mean, so important question. If Zaha were to move to Spurs, would you play him on the right ahead of Bergwijn and both Lucas Moura?
Yeah, but I definitely would. I do like Lucas Moura, but he has been at Spurs for about like 2 or 3 years now, and Bergwijn did not set the league alight either last season. Zaha does give you proven quality in the Premier League where he would give you like 10 to 15 goals from the wing that Lucas Moura does not have, that Bergwijn does not have.
Yeah, that's fair.
Bergwijn is pretty bad while finishing, he did miss a pretty bad chance against Man City as well. So he would make, if he does move to Tottenham Hotspur, I would go with Son, Kane, and Zaha hands down.
That would actually be a very, very good, front
Yep,
three
yep,
in the
yep.
league, especially given the fact that it's just Son and Kane carrying the attack, and they do need a third player in there who's been missing. Dele has been, missing both Bergwijn and Lucas Moura, as we've mentioned. So seeing
So
Zaha would there would
you've gone for Zaha on the attacking mid side. So considering your formation 4-2-3-1, who are your left and right wingers?
So on the left, I'm going with Daniel Podence, who plays for Wolverhampton Wanderers. So when Jota moved on, again, when Jota, Jimenez, and Traore were the front three of Wolves, you could actually see that Wolves were a team who were, yes, set up defensively, but they did have a good attack in them because Jota and Traore provided them that much needed width and the much needed pace on the wings. Jota had a goal in him, an assist in him. There is a reason why Klopp decided to pick Jota up from Wolves, and I think he's done a very good job at Liverpool as well, given the short duration he's been there. And I hope that, honestly, I hope that his form falters and Liverpool messes up terribly. but from a purely neutral standpoint, I do hope that he continues growing as a player because it's been good seeing him do that. Once Jota moved on, there was this huge question mark. Wolves was a promising club, a club that was on the rise, that was actually giving a tough time to some of the big boys, especially अभी देखें United के खिलाफ जो हमारा मैच हुआ था Wolves के साथ. Wolves has always given us a tough time in the past few seasons. मैंने जहां तक मुझे याद पड़ता है, मुझे कोई अच्छा मैच नहीं याद Wolves के खिलाफ जो यूनाइटेड ने खेला हो, क्योंकि Wolves के खिलाफ हमें हमेशा जोर लगाना ही लगाना पड़ता है. So Wolves is that one team who does this, every now and then gives one of the bigger boys a run for their money. And when Jota moved on, there was this question mark, acha, up who would actually, replace Jota, given that he was a very high profile player for the likes of Wolves and, teams of that caliber. I believe that with Podence, they have made a wonderful signing because he is a player of a similar mold. He's fast. He's got good dribbling. He's got good finishing whenever given the opportunity. Yes, you can argue that पिछले season उसका attacking output बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं था, but even in the absence of those double figure assists and goals, he did a great job in driving the very little attack that Wolves had in them. Because in the absence of Raul Jimenez, they only looked up to one player primarily for their attacking moves. I'm not saying output, moves to begin, because Wolves' attacking output, again, itna koi kamal tha nahi. Fabio Silva was someone who was, not performing up to the hype that was given the fact that Fabio Silva, I think, is the most expensive signing Wolverhampton Wanderers have ever made. So in the absence of so many in the absence of attacking quality, in the absence of their key player, Raul Jimenez, who I believe is a very good player. He's a very, very potent striker. Podence showed us that he's got a very serious player in him. He's got a very good quality player in him. And given the opportunity to play with good quality forwards and in a team that was not set up as defensively as Wolverhampton Wanderers, he would definitely shine. I would say maybe double figure goals. He can do that. That's what I believe if he gets the right opportunity. And I feel that he has the quality in him, which can definitely, take him to at least the top half of the league, if not the top 6 or top 7 clubs.
I mean, I actually love Podence as a player.
Definitely.
He makes you get off your seat, and the way he dribbles, the way he passes, the way he moves around, and because of his low center of gravity, I do like the player definitely. My major problem with Podence also was just the fact that his attacking return wasn't there, that we have already mentioned. But I think with the likes of Zaha scoring 11 goals in the Premier League, and to replace him with the likes of Podence, who I don't think scored more than 4 or 5 goals. You need to confirm that to me. So it is difficult for me to replace Podence with Zaha, but you do make a very good case for him, and I definitely like Podence as a player. I think there is very good.
But there's a question. Like, don't you think that having Ward-Prowse and Neves as the bottom two midfielders, Zaha is number 10, and Potence on the left wing. Don't you think that there's a huge exciting opportunity where you could have a very good attacking output from both Zaha and Potence in there?
In my opinion, why I chose this formation was that these players play for the bottom half teams because they're not that good, and to play for a bottom half team that does to an extent show that the top six or the top four teams are not interested in these players. That is why they're still in their clubs. So to go for a formation that has four attacking players for a bottom half team does not suit at least me. But you definitely can go for this formation as well, because there is a very good case to be made for Potence on the left wing. But if you see Bissouma, Ward-Prowse, and Ruben Neves in the midfield, that is, in my opinion, a very, very, very scary midfield to begin with. I think that midfield can definitely challenge for at least the top 8 or top 7, in my opinion, for the Premier League.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. But again, I would agree to disagree. I would love to see Zaha as a number 10 and Potence on the left side of the midfield. I mean, both of them could combine very well. Both of them have great dribbling. Both of them are very fast. And I feel given that opportunity, both of them would probably return more than 10 goals in the Premier League last
So I definitely
in a
agree
season.
with the fact that would be a very spicy attack to have Zaha at the attacking midfield spot and Potence on the left. But I'm just not sure how balanced that side would be. But
Yeah,
definitely,
I
if
agree.
a manager can work it out, Potence and Zaha would terrorize any defense in the league.
I agree. So I think let's get the number 9 out of the way, because
Yeah.
I don't think we need to argue anyone other than Danny Ings here, because I think he's that one player who, okay, so here's a question. If you had Danny Ings at Man City, would you play him or Gabriel Jesus?
Depends upon the position they are playing. Right now, Gabriel Jesus is playing on the right wing side. If you ask me for the number 9 spot, Ings hands down. Ings is an elite finisher in my opinion, and can play for any top 4 side in the Premier League. I think a lot of teams are just simply ignoring him because he has never gotten the chance. So when he I think he did transfer to Liverpool, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, when he transferred to Liverpool, I don't think he got a fair chance. If he had gotten a fair chance, and one major thing with regards to Liverpool was that he did not suit Liverpool's system. Liverpool played with a very attacking, counter-attacking, pressing style of play that is totally opposite to Danny Ings. So I see a seriously elite, top-tier player in Danny Ings, and I think he can play for any top 4 side in the Premier League right now, and Aston Villa have right now gotten a gem on their hands, and that is clear to see for everyone, considering he's already, I think, scored 2 or 3 goals for Aston Villa, and also just the fact that he did score 12 goals for Southampton in the 2021 season, and the preceding season, 1920 season, he ended up with 22 goals for Southampton. So I think there is a pretty decent player in Danny Ings, and there are 2 shouts that do deserve at least a mention for the number 9 spot, although they're pretty non-arguable considering Danny Ings. But Wilson from Newcastle.
Yeah, Callum Wilson. I was about to mention Callum Wilson, yes.
Wilson from Newcastle, and Watkins from Aston Villa. Now, the case of Watkins is kind of similar to Podence, just considering the fact that he is, although a better player than Podence, and not a better player, a better finisher than Podence, but he does have a pretty bad conversion rate, considering the amount of chances he did end up missing for Aston Villa. But I do see a very good player in Watkins as well as Callum Wilson. But for me, number 9, Danny Ings.
Hands down, Danny Ings. So on the right-hand side, Ali has Alan Saint-Maximin, who is a very exciting player, who's very fast. I think one of the best dribblers in the league. Let's start with that. I will hand out this opinion that he's one of the best dribblers in the league. And I think Ali would agree with me, even though a lot of people would disagree. And if you do disagree, I would genuinely request you to go watch him play. Just watch his dribbling. His close control is absolutely phenomenal. If he has a defender one-on-one, he is almost 7 to 8 out of 10 times he's going to beat them. And I believe that he's one player to look out for. So the only problem I have with Saint-Maximin is his attacking output. His finishing is nowhere near the quality that you would expect from a player who has so many things, so many good things going his way. He's a brilliant dribbler. He's got a lot of pace to him. I remember last season that he did miss a lot of opportunities, a lot of one-on-ones, a lot of goals he could have scored. So my problem with Saint Maximin is his final output. So I'm going to sound like a bit of a hypocrite when I say I'm going to put in Adama Traore for a shout on the right side, because he's not that good in that department either. But
I mean, you're
again,
replacing Saint Maximin with a player with one single foot. But go ahead.
again, arguable. But I believe that Adama Traore last season was not as good. Let's be honest about it. He was not as good as he was the season before. So Adama Traore from 1920 was an amazing player. Let's agree with that. He was someone who terrorized defenses, who took on players. He's just he's just unexplainable in the sense that for someone his size to be that fast sounds like an impossible thing, but somehow it is. I don't know how he's done it. The thing is that Adama Traore, in a very bad season, in a lot of games when he was playing right wing back, had almost the same attacking output as Alan Saint Maximin. So that is where I feel that Adama Traore, given that he plays in a slightly better system where he does not have to put in such a huge defensive shift, could give you better numbers. So I am okay with conceding the fact that Saint Maximin and Adama Traore are possibly on the same level when it comes to the quality of finishing. Even if we do agree that Saint Maximin is probably slightly better, I feel that Adama Traore is that one player who gives you what. So अगर आपकी एक bottom half की team है, you need a right wing or at least both of your wing players to be someone who are willing to run up and down the field all of the game. Someone who can probably track back, someone who can actually, put in a good defensive shift as well. So Potence is again someone who is very, very hardworking. As we've already agreed that he's someone who runs up and down on the wing. And as Nuno has sort of conditioned his teams to be very defensive, his wide players are also expected to put in a defensive shift. So similar is the case of Adama Traore. For a bottom half team, it is very important to have wide forwards who are going to track back, who are going to come back, who are going to actually, put in a decent defensive shift as well. Given that, let's agree, they're going to be under pressure most of the time from, a top tier team or, a team that is better than them in most cases. So as we've seen that Adama Traore has a good amount of defensive capabilities, I don't remember seeing that from Saint Maximin in any matches. If anything, I honestly don't even remember him tracking back that much, because he does have the aura of that lazy quality player, like that Ben Arfas or the Tarabs of your era. So purely for a bottom half team, given that both of them have nearly equal the numbers, if I think I did check them up, they're nearly equal, both of them, in terms of their output. I would argue that Adama Traore on the right-hand side would give a bottom half team much more solidity on the right side rather than, that attacking flair. Yes, attacking flair is good. It is important. But when you have so many players, which we've already argued for, have that, you need someone who's going to put in a good defensive shift as well, cover the wing backs. That's why Adama Traore makes my team.
I think especially with the system you are deploying with two midfielders in the center, you do need two proper hard-working figures. The liberty I have with three midfielders and Bissouma is that I can go for two wingers who are
definitely
particularly
big on tracking back.
Particularly that attacking. So I think I have to.
Yeah, sure. Two white players utne back track.
Okay, so I was mentioning that with the likes of Bissouma in the center of my midfield, I do have the liberty of having two attacking wingers with not that much defensive contribution to the team. So I think you do make a very good case for Adama Traore, especially considering your team. and its setup. But I would, in my opinion, I like flashy players up top. I like Saint Maximin's dribbling. I think it's the best in the league, like you just mentioned. So I would go for Saint Maximin on the right, but I can definitely agree that with the system you are trying to deploy Adama Traore, I would also okay. So in a 4-2-3-1 without Bissouma and Zaha as your cam and what's his name, Podence on the left. I would also put Adama Traore over Saint Maximin simply because of his work ethic.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough because again, a different system would demand a different sort of a wing player in any team, that's especially a bottom half team, because unke dynamics काफी different होते हैं as compared to the top half teams. Bottom half teams generally have to defend a lot more, even though again Spurs will prove us wrong this season. But yeah, I think that's a fair point. Okay, agar ye system ho, to definitely I think Saint Maximin would sneak in ahead of Adama Traore, purely because he's a lot flashier. He's someone who you'll enjoy looking at play. So I think that concludes our. Do we have any special shouts left to mention? Or have we covered everyone? I think we have covered most of.
It. Yeah,
I think that's pretty much it. So this was the second episode of the Commentators Box. If you have any feedback, and there was plenty of it last time around, especially from Chelsea fans who were asking why Kante and Jorginho, etc., have not made our Premier League 11. Just to clarify, it was a Premier League 11, not a Premier League plus Euros plus Champions League 11. If you go look up Chelsea's performances under Frank Lampard, put your bias aside, we've tried our best to argue that Chelsea were not that good under Frank Lampard. They are brilliant under Tuchel. Let's be honest about it. But I think we made a lot of claims. But again, we loved your feedback. We loved the fact that Chelsea fans took us on. They tried to engage in a good argument, which is exactly what we're looking for. A lot of Liverpool fans pointed fingers at, especially me, for not including Trent Alexander-Arnold, which is, again, a very fair debate. I'm not going to say that it's something that's completely unreasonable. Ali argued that right here. But that's the kind of discourse we want from you guys. We want you guys to ask us these questions. कि अच्छा आपने फलां player को क्यों नहीं रखा? उसको क्यों रखा है? ऐसे क्यों? वैसे क्यों? We actually enjoyed your feedback. These questions, these debates need to keep coming if we're to make this show a lot better, if we're going to improve going forward. Keep your feedback coming in. Moving on, we'll try to make sure that we try to address some of the feedback, the debates that we get in the comments, the debates or the questions that pop up elsewhere on our social media. We will try our best. We try to address them in our future videos to make our channel much more engaging. But thank you so much for the feedback and for your support so far. This was episode 2. This is a thank you and a sign off from us. We will hopefully see you very soon.